instance, when you go out one morning and you say, "Oh, I'm going to look at my flower. Oh my goodness, my flower is dead. My flower's all eaten up. The buds are black." My name is Dave, and this is my Orchid Oasis. After 400 orchids in several years, I've learned a lot about orchids. So today I'm going to give you the top 16 things I wish I knew before I started all of this. Let's jump into it. Okay, number one, underwatering is better than overwatering. Might sound kind of counterintuitive. This actually applies to any sort of plants or gardening. It's much easier to kill something underwatering because what happens is if you overwater, it is going to rot the roots. And if roots are rotted, you are done. The roots are dead. The plant is dead. If you don't water enough, what you have is a very droopy, sad plant, but the roots are still there. The roots are alive. They're not happy, but they're there. So then you can slowly nurse it back to health by watering it. So that goes double when it comes to orchids, okay? It is very easy to kill an orchid by overwatering. A lot of people will see these like droopy, dehydrated looking leaves and freak out and start putting more water into it. And the whole time, what had actually happened is that the roots were dead because they were overwatered, and people are trying to fix it by watering it more. Uh-oh. That's a recipe for a dead orchid. So don't do that. By the way, it just stopped raining. It's still sprinkling on me a little bit, but that's okay. Sometimes you have to really just, you got to sacrifice. When it comes to a YouTube channel, you got to sacrifice. And I'm doing this to create an orchid community, right? I'm certainly not doing this to make any money. I'm doing it because it's my passion. And I want other people to share my passion and to learn all the things I've learned through the years. I certainly don't know everything. And today we're going very quickly through these 16 things. Now, if you go to my channel, I already have lots and lots of videos that go more in depth on each one of these things. And I'm going to be coming out with more and more as I go forward. So keep an eye out for them. Subscribe and all that good stuff. Number two, mounting your orchids. What mounting an orchid means is you take an orchid. I'll just show you an example here. This is a good example. All right, so there's a happy Vanda, by the way, but we're not talking about Vandas right now. All right, do you see how this is not in a pot? These roots are stuck to a piece of wood. I initially took a zip tie and zipped it and tied it to this piece of wood. The roots are climbing all over it. Super, super happy orchid. So why is it so happy? Because that's how orchids grow in nature, right? I have a video all about mounting orchids. If I could, I would mount every orchid, basically. It is just about one of the most important things. Number three, people do not fertilize enough. This might be number one, two, and three. People have this attitude of, oh, I'm so amazing. I don't even use fertilizer and my blooms are nice and my orchids are growing. And yeah, that's true. You can get away with just water and fertilizer. I'm sorry, water and light. Orchids don't need that much fertilizer. In nature, they're scavengers, right? It rains and tiny little bits of stuff falls off a tree into the orchid, and so they have gotten very good at getting by on very little fertilizer. But the thing is, if you do use fertilizer, it's awesome. I mean, the orchids go crazy. They're green, they're growing, there's more blooms, they grow faster. Fertilizer is very important. I do lots of videos on it. Don't discount fertilizer. It's very important. This whole concept that you should just put a little bit of fertilizer in your orchid. You got to be careful. You're going to burn your orchid. Okay. We're going to go over it in other videos. Fertilizing is important. It's so many people do not fertilize enough. That's all I'm going to say for today. My most hated thing in the world. Orchids or anything else, are thrips. Now, what the heck is a thrip? A thrip is a tiny little insect that loves, they're basically impossible to see, and they are everywhere. Right, I'm in Florida, Southwest Florida, in Sarasota. Thrips, there right now. There are thrips everywhere. You can't see them, but they're everywhere, and you only know of their existence when you go out one morning and you say, "Oh, I'm going to look at my flower. Oh my goodness, my flower is dead. My flower's all eaten up. The buds are black. There's all kinds of terrible stuff on my." Those are thrips. Thrips are nasty. They're everywhere and they make people cry, because if you have thrips when your flowers are blooming, you are dead in the water. It is disastrous in my world. So there's lots of ways to treat for thrips, to protect against thrips. It's essential to keep an eye on those things, because they are probably the biggest problem in most orchid gardens, along with some funguses, but we'll get into that. All right, you ready? I've been through like a million different sprays and ways to get rid of pests through the years, and I'm going to go down what works. For disinfecting like tools and surfaces, and if you see a fungus like on a leaf or something, you want to spray it with something called Physan, Physan. Okay. If you have a serious infection in something, you want to spray it with thiamyl, Thiomyl. You spray it on a plant, it gets sucked into the tissue, and it kills the fungus from the inside out. It's very powerful. It saves a lot of plants for me, trust me. Sevin, Sevin. This is a great spray that you can spray it right on a flower and it won't kill the flower. It's like a lot of these sprays will kill flowers because they're too strong. But with Sevin, you're fine, and it will kill thrips on a flower. So if you start to see a little, Sevin it is. Hydrogen peroxide. If you see rotting, something's turning black, hit it with hydrogen peroxide. And there's something called Bio Advanced 3-in-1. That's for bugs. Bio Advanced 3-in-1. That's what it's called. So I'm flying through this. Lots of videos on this on the channel. Just keep an eye out for them. I have found that the perfect environment to grow orchids is in a pool cage, which is what you see right here. Why it's so perfect is because orchids don't want direct sun, they want filtered light. So the screen filters the light just enough so the plants do not get sunburned. Now I have something, my screen is a little denser than some screens. It's called a 20 by 20 screen. The mesh is closer. A lot of people have 18 by 14 screens where the mesh isn't as close. Either way, you should be okay, but just full disclosure, the mesh on my pool cage is going to filter out a little more light, but I have mega super happy green orchids, and this is all the filtering I'm using. It's a lot of light. Orchids love light. Airflow. Airflow is very, very important. The longer I do this, the more important I realize it is. In fact, I just installed a big, fancy, industrial fan. Here, I'll show it to you. Dun, 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 dun. There it is. But it puts out a ton of air. And why do we want airflow, right? Because fungus thrives, bacteria thrives in wet conditions. So we want to keep these orchids as dry as possible. Inside a greenhouse, very difficult conditions, because these nurseries, these professional growers are constantly trying to keep everything dry. So they have all these fans going, and if you're outside like this, luckily, not a problem, generally speaking. Right now in August, it's super moist, super humid, super rainy, so it's a bigger problem. I have more fungal problems. Watch some other videos and I will tell you how to address these problems in August. All right, number 6. It's got to be humid. And I say this to people, it's hard. Like if you live in Arizona, grow orchids, that's awesome, but you are really gonna have to work hard to create some sort of artificial humidity. In Florida, where orchids grow generally, we're talking 70, 80, 90% humidity all year. It is just thick in the air, and it's just what orchids need. The roots need it, the leaves need it. Like you can't you can't be in a dry environment and say, oh, I'll water them extra. It doesn't work that way. Orchids need that constant moist air around them to thrive. So humidity is very important. If you think about it, where orchids grow naturally, it would be all around the equator, plus or minus whatever number of miles. So it's humid, right? It's humid basically everywhere that orchids grow. Okay, this is my biggest pet peeve. People repot their orchids too often. If you go on YouTube and type in orchid care, half of them are about people, or you're watching people take a happy orchid in a pot and ripping it out like the orchid is screaming, like, stop, stop, I'm happy in my cozy little house. But no, they rip these things out of their pots, mess with their roots, put them in something new. Orchids don't like this. They hate it. You want to repot in extreme situations. Honestly, I basically never repot. I mean, seriously, I will take things out of pots and mount them. I do that a lot. But I'll have some plants for years and years and years that I don't repot. The roots are coming out. Oh no, it's going to die. It's not going to die. Stop repotting your orchids so much. They don't like it. So it's very important to treat your orchids different in winter versus summer. Okay, and this is something I've learned the hard way, and it's also very important when it comes to really having super, super healthy orchids. So in the spring and summer, lots of water, lots of fertilizer, just like any plant, right? It's spring, they're growing, summer, they're growing, they need fuel, they need water. And then late fall, winter, you back off of the water and the fertilizer pretty significantly. And there's some kinds of orchids where you cut off the water and fertilizer. In fact, if you water them at all in the winter, it could kill them, and it almost certainly will stop them from flowering the next year. So there's lots of different kinds of orchids, which we'll talk about in other videos, but some you have to be really careful and give them a winter's rest, which means don't water them at that point in time. Okay. So over the past few years, I have discovered there is like unlimited information about orchid growing on the internet and YouTube, right? Like 20 years ago, I don't know how people figured this stuff out, right? Like all of this. I mean, I'm a member of the Sarasota Orchid Society, so I go to those and they have speeches and they're amazing. It's really, but I learn a lot in my Facebook group. I learn a lot in YouTube videos. I've watched 1,000 hours of YouTube videos. I've read unbelievable numbers of orchid articles. So it's very easy to educate yourself. There's not that much to know when it comes to orchids. If you really make the effort, people get intimidated. They say orchids are so hard. They're not hard. They're one of the easiest plants to grow, just if you know a few things. So on this channel, I try to make things as simple as possible. So again, check things out, subscribe so you know when they're coming out. In hindsight, every orchid has a label. There's like a little thing they stick in the dirt and it says what kind of flower it is. But orchid they're very complicated because there's like 40,000 different kinds. So it'll say it's like this kind of orchid, this subtype, this subtype, this subtype. If you lose the label, which I have 100 times, you don't know what the heck it is. They look like every other orchid. There's no way to know what it is. So if somebody asks you, wow, that's a really nice orchid, what is it? You have to say, I have no idea. I'm a dummy. I've never even I lost the label. So hold on to those labels. Later on, you'll thank me. They're important. I'm finding that when you really get into orchids, there is a thriving, awesome, interesting community of orchid enthusiasts. Maybe you're one of them. It's not huge. It's not like there's a million people growing orchids, but there are a lot, and they are a very close-knit, passionate group of people because these orchids are addictive. And maybe you already understand that. Maybe you're watching this and you're like, Dave, yeah, like we're the same kind, right? Like I get you. I get you. I see what's happening here. I see that you started with a few orchids and then bam, there's 400 of them. It happens. You have to be really careful. If you don't take the proper steps, you will have 400 orchids before you know it. I'm just letting you know. So that's a great thing about being in the orchid world. And lastly, number 16, and I say this with all seriousness, I find growing orchids almost like a spiritual experience. Now, I'm a Christian, and I believe in God, and I am not kidding when I say I'll come out and look at these flowers, and it's almost like God is speaking to me. It might sound kind of weird, but I really feel like how could God, like, this is divine what has been created with these flowers. So, personally, a big reason why I play with my orchids, why I grow these orchids, is it is deeply fulfilling in a very deep sense. So that's a big reason why I'm doing this channel too, because hopefully I can share that and help other people experience that awesome awesome part. So I want you to click on the screen. There should be a little thing that popped up. That is my more comprehensive video that goes over all of this stuff. It's a longer video and it goes into greater depth, and you're going to learn a lot more. So if I kind of teased you here and it got you thinking about things, I strongly recommend that you check it out. All right, be blessed.